Yesterday I went for a run around Sloan's Lake, and there were hundreds of people walking around the lake, and they were all wearing T-shirts, National Brain Tumor Society. They were doing a walk to raise money and awareness. I was glad I was running the opposite way that they were, because there were tons and tons of people. They were doing something that they were showing up for something that they valued. They were showing up for something that they believed in. Last night, we had a fundraiser here, and many of you, I can see faces, were here last night. How many of you were here? Yay! It was a fantastic evening, fantastic time, and you all showed up for something you believe in, something you value, this community, this spiritual center. I'm so grateful. But we need to show up for things that we believe in, that we value, that are important to us. And that's what this fifth unity principle is about. I've been doing a series on the Unity's 5 basic principles based on this book by Reverend Ellen Davenport, the 5 principles. And this is the last week on this series. We covered the first one, God is, one power, one presence. All that is, God is all that is, and it's good. And then the second, we are that. We are all that is, so we are God. The third, that we use our thoughts and our beliefs and our emotions to create an experience for ourselves. Whatever's going on, we get to choose how we're going to experience that in our lives. The fourth is we use prayer and meditation to align ourselves with that God of our being, that source of our being. And this fifth one is that we have to walk the talk. We have to practice what we preach. We have to put our money where our mouth is. We have to do something or be something or show up in a way that is in alignment with these other 4 principles. These other 4, the first 4, we do in consciousness. It's not until this 5th principle that we do it in our behavior, that we take action, that we do something in our lives. This 5th one is about doing, about being, about showing up. And you all showed up last night in a beautiful way, and it was a fun event, so I thank you for that. I love that they're called principles, because principles mean that they are true no matter what. We're always using them, we're just not always aware of how we're using them. Ellen talks about how it's all... Many faith traditions follow these same basic principles, and they answer these questions. What is this greater presence that we sense around us? How can we communicate with this presence? Who and what are we? Why do things happen in our lives the way they do? What on earth are we to do? Not what on earth are we to do, but what on earth in our physical being are we to do? What are we to do in this life? And so they all work together. If we believe there's one power, one presence, and it's good, then we will express from that awareness. If we believe there's another power, evil, fear, whatever we're giving power to, we could express from that. But will it bring joy to our lives? Will it make us feel alive? And so we're always offered this opportunity to look for the best, to come from our most loving self. We don't often do that. We often, most of us, most of the time, myself included, live from the false self. We live from our human self, not our divine self. Now, in Unity, we teach we're fully divine, fully human, fully divine. That Jesus was the example of that, not the exception of that. The one only begotten Son is us. The pattern for potential perfection is in all of us, the Christ in all of us. And mostly we live from the false self, from our human side. We don't have to practice being human. We got that down. We need to practice being divine because we don't have that down, because that's where the true self is, and we get glimpses of it. The more we practice, the more we can be aware of that and live from that and express from that. But mostly we don't. Mostly we have to practice it. I love how Richard Rohr on Friday had a blog post about how his first gaze, and I've said this too, my first reaction to anything that goes on is not from my divine side. And most of us can relate to that. It's that first gaze. The first thing we see when something happens in our lives is not usually our most loving self looking at it. That it takes some practice to look at it from the second gaze. To recognize that love is always there, that spirit is always there, that goodness is always there, but we're just focused so much on this little, small part of it instead of the whole big picture. And when we're not defending ourselves or in judgment, we can use that second gaze and go to that second gaze more quickly, more frequently. And when we do, we're more alive, we're more joyful. These principles are practical in that they work. And we say in unity that unity is a positive, practical approach to Christianity, that we follow the teachings of Jesus. And Jesus showed his loving self. He showed us how to do this. Showed his loving self in the world, being loving to all. But it's not easy to do that in our worlds. It's not easy for any of us to do it because we come from all of this stuff and we're all different and we bump up against each other. But we get to practice. Practice being, practice showing up how we would want others to show up for us as loving, as supportive. I'm going to use an example from my life that shows how these principles all work together. When I was taking classes to get ordained, one of the classes was on heart-centered speaking. And the teacher was wonderful, Reverend Victoria. And she talked about how we want to speak from the heart and not use notes and just talk to people, because it's people to people, people to people. And so we practiced. We practiced this in little segments during the class, and it was lovely. And then I came here and decided I was going to do it, and I had my outline, and I would put the outline on the chair, and I'd come up here and speak. And this was probably, 5-6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago. But I would leave my notes on the chair, and I'd come up and give a talk, and no notes. And many people were like, "Oh my God, you're not using notes. Oh, that's so awesome." Then one Sunday, I went totally blank. I freaked out. I walked down the stairs. I went to the chair where I used to sit on that side, picked up my piece of paper, looked at it, said, "Oh, that's what I forgot," put it down, walked back up, and gave the rest of my talk. I was so humiliated. Now, nobody stoned me for it, but I was so humiliated that I don't know if that was the last time I spoke without notes till recently, but I think it was close to it. So humiliated, beat myself up so badly for doing that. So, This is a good example of Unity's third principle. My thoughts, my beliefs about myself, I can't possibly do that anymore. I just can't do it anymore. It's too stressful. It's too stressful. It's too embarrassing when I forget what I'm going to say. My belief was I couldn't do it. What's my experience? Couldn't do it. Didn't do it. What was I putting the power in? Not in oneness, not in one power, one presence, but in fear, in unworthiness, in deficiency, in not being able to do it. Did I see myself as divine as a result of that? No. No. I saw all of you as divine, but a lot of self-judgment on myself. Lots of self-judgment. Maybe some of you can relate to self-judgment. Not a fun place to go. Was I aligning with that divine in me? Not in that moment. Not in those moments. I still have my prayer and meditation time, but this is the excuse I used. I'm guided when I'm preparing the talk. So the notes are my guidance, and I can use that. That's what I told myself. What was I doing? I was using my iPad, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that, and I believe that. Then, we talked in staff meeting how I keep saying before sabbatical, so that's all BS. So while I was on sabbatical, I have mentioned to a lot of you that have heard me speak about it, is that I decided I wanted to come here and show up differently. I wanted to show up more playfully, more joyfully. I wanted to show up with more freedom. Not working, but just a freedom in not being so bogged down with all the details and all this stuff that I have to do, and I'm so important because there's so much I have to do. But holding it all lighter. And so one of the things that I decided I needed to do was to come up here and speak without notes. And many of you have commented on that. And the first Sunday when I was back, I decided I'm not going to leave my iPad on the chair. We know where that could lead. I'm not giving myself any crutch. And I came up and gave a talk, and it's been several weeks now without my iPad. So let's look at that from the unity principles. I'm believing, I'm trusting that there's one power, one presence. I'm believing that. I'm trusting in that. One of my affirmations when I'm on the weekends, when I'm preparing the talk, just before I come up here, I trust in the Lord of my being. I trust in that Lord. I trust in that part of myself that will know what to say. And I am that. And I am that. And the Christ in me does the work. And that's my other affirmation. The Christ in me does the work. It's coming through me. It's not me, small self Sue, doing this work. It's Sue, big S self. Okay, however, but So that's the second principle. The third is I believed I could do it. And I took that feeling before doing it, which is a big trust thing, and acted as if. As if. And I don't like the term fake it as you make it, but fake it before you make it. How does that go? Something like that. Fake it till you make it. Thank you. But behave, act as if. As if it's already happened. As if you've already done it. As if it's already manifesting and expressing and showing and displaying itself in your life. and get to that vibration. Get to that feeling tone of it. And that will change your experience. And so doing that ahead of time, it's like thinking in advance. It brings a new experience. It brings a different way of being. And then the fourth principle, praying. I feel like I pray. Okay, I don't know. I'm losing my words. It was a little busy yesterday. Pray without ceasing. Pray without stopping. Trying to hold that vibrational frequency. Trying to hold that love is present always, 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 always. And then there's no way to just tiptoe your way into it. You just have to go for it. There's no way to tiptoe into, well, I'm going to try to speak without notes, but I'm going to leave them right there just in case. You just have to do it. What is it, Yoda? Don't try. There is no try. Just do. Just do it. Just show up. So you say you want to show up differently, then show up differently. Don't just say, well, I'm going to try to show up differently. No, show up differently. And I have to tell you that it's been freeing. It's been liberating. It's been joyful. I've had more fun being back to work than all the other 9 years or 10 years that I've been working here. It's a lot more fun. There's a lot more joy. Yeah. And you all can do that. I'm using this little example that could be not important to any of you but it's important to me. You know, not using the iPad and proving to my small self that I could do it. And last week, I went totally blank, and I knew I didn't have notes sitting on the chair, and I stood here, and it felt like 10 minutes. It was probably, I don't know, maybe not even a minute. I don't know. But nobody stoned me. Nobody said, oh my God, you just stopped and that was it. And I didn't have a vulnerability hangover even. Like, what? This is awesome. So we can use these principles. We are always using these principles, but we can use them consciously to change our experience no matter what's going on in our life. Start small. Don't try to take on the whole world at once and world peace. I mean, if you want to, go for it. But start something small in your life. We've been following this book, The Lazarus Blueprint, and this is based on the story of Jesus raising Lazarus from the dead that's in the Bible. And I love how it follows the principles. We've talked the first four, which is turn away. Don't focus on the problem. The second is remove the obstacle that's standing in the way. The third is have great expectations. Expect the best. Focus on the best. The fourth is, I don't remember. Upfront thanks. Pray. Upfront thanks is a sign of faith. And the fifth, there's six. I'm going to do two today. The sixth one is, he cried with a loud voice, Lazarus, come out. He cried with a loud voice, with conviction, not with a voice that was timid, not with let's see if we can try to have Lazarus come out. No, it was Lazarus, come out. We have to have conviction. Know that we are not going to fail, that Spirit is with us. Whatever is ours is ours. Lazarus, come out. He focused on the potential. And then the sixth one is, the dead man came out, his hands and feet bound with strips of cloth, and his face wrapped in a cloth. Unbind him and let him go. Now, this is really important because you think Lazarus comes out of the cave, we're done. Our job is finished. No more to do. But he comes wrapped in burial clothes. How many of us make a change in our lives, but we still hang on to the old me, the old you? We're still wrapped in those burial clothes. We're still wrapped in thoughts of the past. We're invited to unwrap them. Let them go. They don't serve us anymore. Come out of the cave alive. It says the dead man came out of the cave. The dead man came out, and he says, if you're wrapped in the same thoughts and mindset as before, you are the same person as you were before. The dead man came out until he unwrapped himself, until they unwrapped him. He was still the dead man, Lazarus, not the Lazarus wanting to have a new life coming out of the cave. See the difference? We have to unwrap those old thoughts of the past, those old ways of being. And I get it. It is much easier to live in your comfort zone. Lots easier. It takes courage. It takes bravery. It takes faith. It takes love for yourself to do something different that you know in your heart is yours to do. It takes that. And so he says, and this is so other people, I say in the book, this is so other people will view you differently, but you have to view yourself differently first. Have conviction that you can come out of that dark cave. There's something in you that is longing to live in a new way. And this is how you're showing up. How you're showing up. How are you showing up? Are you living the truth you know? See, it's not enough that we study it and we understand it and we pray about it. We have to also live it. And that's this fifth principle. That's what this is all about. This is what anything in your life you can take back to any or all of these principles. Try it for yourself. Practice. Practice. Unity's positive, practical approach. Practice. Throw off those burial clothes. I want to close with a prayer that Ellen has for this chapter on Principle 5. So I invite you to just take this in and maybe ask for some guidance for yourself, for your life. Take a breath. What is mine to do? How am I to serve? I have come to this human experience not just for myself, but for others. And I stand ready to share God's love with them. That love expresses through me and as me. I make myself ready. I ask for my perfect place of service. I live the truth, knowing that God is all, and that I am God, and that we are creators, and that I am never separate from divine radiance. I let my light shine to illuminate those in darkness. I let my heart expand for those who need love. I give as it has been given to me, and I am grateful for us all. If you got something from that, live it. Practice it with conviction. I forgot I was going to mention something about living our values and living our beliefs. Vote. Vote in the election this year. That is one way that you can live your values. You can show up for what you believe. And Piri, you have the thing out there? She'll be out in the lobby. If you haven't registered to vote, she'll help you. You vote according to what you believe, what your values are, but vote. vote. Colorado, I guess 2020, we had 2/3 of the voting population voted. In Colorado, we had 75%. Yay. But 25% didn't. So vote. Just urging you to vote. So live your values. Show up according to what you believe, according to what you love, according to what's important to you. And we can all make this world a better place if we just be the God we are. Namaste. Thank you.